heart come alive watching this? Did it? Did you feel something different than you normally feel? Yeah. What do you think Tyler felt? I think his heart's alive right now. Okay. Let's go through. I want to go through the clip and some of the things that we heard. You notice in the beginning, he's before the engine stops and all the commotion starts. He's been counting on the idea that somebody thought I could do this, and so they selected me. Right? That's what he thinks. And then all of a sudden, he starts to have these doubts in his mind. Maybe a sheet of paper for the guy that was actually supposed to do this fell on the floor, and somehow or another, the sheet of paper with my name on it got to the top of the list accidentally, and I wasn't even supposed to go on this. And then do you hear what he says? He says, this is insane. I don't want to last 6 days, much less 6 months in this wilderness, right? And that's what happens, when we're trying to break away, when we're trying to break out of the boredom that Rosie is talking about, is that there's this voice, the voice of the enemy that comes in and says, play it safe. You don't really have what it takes. This was all a mistake. And, that's the kind of thing that we go through, and it's the kind of thing that causes us to pull back, right? Rosie talks about boredom. Did you notice that even after the engine stops and he's trying to find the wrench, and doesn't seem to be the least bit of worry about getting the plane cranked, and Tyler says, well, what's wrong? Boredom, Tyler, boredom. That's what's wrong. There's nothing wrong with the plane, there's nothing wrong with the engine, it's boredom that's wrong. Well, what is boredom? It's lost desire, right? That's another name for lost desire. And you remember in the conversation that Tyler kind of had with himself inside of his head, is that, I can't turn back, I'll be the laughing stock, And Rob talked about, that once you get to a certain point in this process of trying to get your heart back, there's no turning back, okay? And that's what he's realizing, is that I'm committed now, okay? And that's one of the things, I think, the principles that we're trying to get across to you this weekend, is that once you make the decision to adventure with God and reclaim desire and loss of heart, there really is no turning back. And I think you saw that from from this clip. It's either you got to do something about it, you got to accept things as they are and do something about it, or you die in this situation, or your heart dies, one of the two. Okay, next slide. So, adventure is revealed to us by desire. So when we put ourselves in positions that allow us to experience this kind of adventure, then that's when we begin to feel some desire, kind of a reawakening of our heart. And next slide, please. This is a visual that I got from Dr. Larry Crabb, who is the author of the book Inside Out. And he talks about the different levels of desire. And for the purposes of this discussion, we're going to be equating desire and adventure, or desire and beauty together. And he says there are really 3 different kinds of desires that we face, or 3 different kinds of adventure that go with those desires. The first one, not unexpectedly, is the kind of thing that you guys that did the zip line this afternoon. Those are casual desires, or casual adventures. And they're really wake-up calls. They're for the person that is kind of been through a really rough patch in their life, and they're just trying to refine themselves. They said, I got to do something to wake this heart up. And I don't recommend getting into an airplane with a pilot like Rosie to do that. But sometimes it takes that. If a man has fallen into significant resignation, sometimes that's required. The one in the bottom left-hand corner he calls critical desires, or critical adventures. And these are getting now closer to really the ones that we need to pay the most attention to, because relationships are something that cause all of us some problems. I doubt there's a man in here that doesn't have an unsettled or even an estranged relationship with someone in their life, okay? And so what Crabb is saying is that establishing or reestablishing a relationship through an adventurous kind of decision is one of the things that we have to think about. So these casual desires are the wake-up call, but then once we get the wake-up call, then we need to move into this area. And you know, relationships, think about, let's just say you're estranged from a person that used to be your closest friend, maybe, or estranged from a child that you know, that for one reason or another you've kind of separated yourself, or they separated themselves from you. And there are all kinds of those kinds of relationships. And think about it, in order for you to reestablish that connection, that relationship, there's risk involved, right? There's fear involved. There's a conscious decision or a choice that you have to make, because the person on the other end may not make that move themselves. And so, and then there's loss, there's a potential that you will be rejected, and that's why there's fear and anxiety that go along with that. So it takes a trusting relationship, and that's what we're kind of moving into, is that, you know, adventure, the whole purpose of it is to get past the risk and the fear and the frustration and get toward the trust that God offers us when we have an authentic and complete heart. Okay, so that's a critical relationship, critical adventure or desire. The final one is the one that, you know, that we've talked about a lot this weekend already, and that is this crucial desire, this crucial adventure that we need to go on to find our true glory and our true purpose, because it's God that is inviting us into a relationship with Him in which He uses that true glory, that true purpose. You know, really gets the authentic man that He created at the time that you were born, or even before He created you before you were born, but you're the authentic man that He's looking for. So those are the three kinds of desires that we're looking at. Obviously, you know, the first one takes a lot of forms. You know, rope courses, zip lines. Some people have to jump out of airplanes sometimes, you know, and parachute to the ground in order to get a wake-up call. But these are all ways that we can do that. Okay.